Hi, I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and today you're going to learn a lot of stuff. This video is a little bit long, but it's because there's a lot of technique I'm going to be teaching you in Vcarve, so you can get really good at creating very unique stuff that nobody else seems to make. Most people that use Vcarve, they make signs out of existing text, things like that, but they don't use the creativity beyond that. What we're going to do today is the Warrior Woman project. Now this is inspired by a piece of art that I saw, which we'll discuss in a minute, but I want to show you a lot of technique to make this really cool project. So let's go into the piece of art that I saw that this was inspired by, so you can see all this technique I'm going to apply. This is the piece of art that we are going to be designing this from. Now, the artist that did this has been deceased for quite some time, and I want to track down some of his work because this one is so inspiring. So I'm going to import this image into Vcarve, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to be doing to make some of this stuff stand out in a way that we can make a flat project rather than showing some of the detail that's in this type of image. So let's go to Vcarve and import this project. So I am on a new project, and we are set up at 24 by 24 by 0.25. Now you can go with any size that you wish. This will work on anything, provided your tooling will cut some of this detail. We are setting this up on center, and we're going to click OK. All right, so let's bring this image in. We want to go to File Operations, to this button right here, Import bitmap. Click that, find your directory, and find the image you want to import. And we are going to do this one right here. One of the things I want to make note for you is whenever you're doing this stuff, we're going to go with this one. Whenever you're doing this stuff, you want to take multiple pictures of whatever project it is that you want to do so you can get the best detail. And this kind of example, some of the pictures I took, the hand was going into the picture frame in the background. The dog was more in the tablecloth, and the foot, the foot is kind of hard here. First, I'm going to eliminate some of this noise. Here's a cool technique for you that you may not have known. When Vcarve is working with something like this, or when we're working with something like this, there's a lot of noise in the background. You have the lamp, you have the candles over here, you got the mirror. We just want to get rid of some of that stuff. Vcarve has a feature where we can crop out a lot of this bitmap. So you can take any kind of shape, draw it around the item that you have, and use Vcarve to crop the rest of it away. So I could actually literally draw around this, what do you call it, statue, sculpture, and then use the feature. But we're just going to use a circle, just to use this quick. So you can take a square, oval, circle, whatever you want, as long as you have a closed vector. So I selected circle. I'm going to pick my point somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to drag out until that circle encompasses the whole thing. So now I've got a lot there. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to highlight that circle. I'm going to bump it down with my cursor keys until everything is encompassed in there and we don't lose things like the hand. So we're moving over there a bit. We got the hand. We haven't chopped out the foot. We're good there. And now I'm going to hold my shift button down. I'm going to select the bitmap. So both items are selected. We're going to use the feature crop bitmap. You select that and watch what happens. So you can see that all that image is now gone, which is very cool. Now I'm going to select that circle I just drew, and I'm going to hit delete and get rid of it. Now I'm going to make this picture a little bit bigger, so I'm going to select it twice, hold my control button down, and I'm going to grab the inner button and just expand it. Because I'm making a large project here, and I just wanted to expand out. Now I'm going to move it up and over. Oops, we have to just get out of that. And we're going to select it again, and we're going to move it around with our cursor keys. And we're going to deselect. Okay, so now let's talk about this thing. So we're going to make a lot of changes in this, and I just want to let you know I am going to show you a lot of things with a lot of activities cut out, because this video could be actually quite long if I walked you through the entire process of every line that I'm going to draw. So let's just take this image a piece at a time. One of the things we have here is the circle that goes around the sculpture. And you can see places like this where it's just not perfect. You know, this is cast metal, so it's not perfect anywhere. And with the type of reflection we have in there, there's just going to be a lot of noise. So we're going to use a particular technique of basically freehand as opposed to letting the program place vectors for us. But right up front, what are we going to do this? We are going to eliminate the front half of the circle all the way down to about this point here. So from this point on the plant to down here, there will be no circle. We're going to cut out the supports for the dog leg right there. And over here, we're going to refine the dog's profile a little bit. Now, one of the other things that we're going to do is, you can see, because this is something of a 2.5D relief, where you can tell that this leg is the left leg and this is the right, and there's a little bit of a cut there for the crotch area and a recess right here. There's cut here for the dog. We are not going to have those. We're going to show this as a flat item. So these little details like the ear and the eyes are not going to be here. Also, we're going to eliminate these areas where the various features run into the other features, like the dog leg into the huntress's leg. We're going to sharpen up this little corner here where the tail and the leg come together. We'll pull things away like this leaf, so it's not attached to the dog's leg or to the tail. We're going to eliminate this leaf. We're going to eliminate this leaf. We'll probably eliminate that leaf as well. We're going to cut out some of these areas where it actually comes in contact with the huntress's body, and we'll make them separate leaves so that they hang free. The spear itself is no longer going to be connected to the neck or the hair. It'll be separate, and we're going to change the hair a little bit. We won't see the eye on the huntress. We're going to keep the profile of the face. The breast, you can see there, is not something that's going to be in this. Instead, we're going to create a curve out here so we know that this is a woman, warrior. We'll eliminate this set of leaves, and these leaves will no longer be attached to the spear, but the plants themselves will run through, and there will be a couple of points where the leaves will still attach. We want to make it look like she is coming out of the jungle as she's ready to strike. So I want to stop for just a second and tell you what inspired me to create this piece of art. Now, this is art, right? And it's expressive art. This is the representation of a warrior, right? The spirit within. And when I saw this, this piece of art, I thought of my niece, Isabel. And this is her at 18 today, where she's a beautiful young adult who has gone through a very challenging time in life. When she was 6 years old, had a brain tumor that would have killed her. Very aggressive. Most kids don't live through it. And she had surgery and had a lot of stuff taken out of her brain. And 12 years later, she's still considered cancer-free, thanks to the love and support of her family and her mother. She's a huge inspiration for me, especially like times like this. You know, I'm doing this video for you, and sometimes I feel like my business, which is teaching you and selling vectors and other CNC projects, sometimes I just want to throw in the towel because things don't move fast enough for my objectives. And today is one of those days where I just don't want to do any of it. What inspires me is when I think of Isabel, or what inspires me even more is when you engage back with me and leave a comment and say, you know, Garrett, thanks for what you're doing, or what have you. You know, I know we all go through those times in life where we just feel like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just happen to be in that right now. But this is the part of entrepreneurialism that you can never be willing to give up or give in to. When you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, you have to keep going. And sometimes it's just really hard. But I am here to give to you my knowledge, and I so much want you to become the expert at what you're doing. And that's my driving force that pushes me through this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to tell you, that my inspiration when I'm feeling like this is projects that we're doing like right now and the meaning behind it. And by the way, this vector is for sale for you on my Etsy store. And I'll tell you how to get that in just a little bit. I charge $15 for it because I put a lot of that money towards St. Jude, the hospital that saved my niece. You know, the hospital never charges their patients. So if you want this vector, stick around, I'll tell you how to get it. And let's dive back in. Let's walk through this project. One of the other things we're going to do to this is we are going to make her hair look a little more flowing rather than curled down. The artist did this for structure, so we'll take care of that. So the first thing we're going to do is take care of the spear. What we're going to do is make this longer, and it's going to be more parallel to the ground that she's running on. So here's how we're going to do this to pull this arrowhead back. We are actually going to draw over the arrowhead. So what you want to do is grab your draw curve button. One of the things that I need to let you know about just right up front, there are three types of lines that Vcarve creates: a straight line, an arc, and a curve. And I want to demonstrate the three of these to you, a little side lesson for you so you become better than everybody else. So I am picking the line. It's called a polyline. And we're going to come over to the image. Now I'm not going to run through all the details over here. I just want to show you the difference in the lines. Polyline is basically a series of straight lines. I click, click, move, click, move, click. And that's what it will continue to do. Now, one of the little cool features that most people don't even know about that you are about to learn, one of the little things that's going to nudge you beyond beginner level, is you pick a point and you hold the left mouse key and start your next point. Suddenly, you create a curve. Actually, this is called, yeah, this is a curved line. And now you're actually creating one of the other types of lines. And I'm clicked and holding again. And now on this next click, I'm clicking that, and it now goes back into straight line mode. Just like that. Okay, so that's the first one. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go into arc, which is the second one. Close that so I can show you which one I just clicked. That one. You click that. So I picked the first point, I picked the second point, and then I can create my arc wherever I want, or to the arcness that I want. And there we have it right there. The third is a curved line. And I'm selecting the curved line right here. And this one right here is a curved line. And a curved line is essentially variable curves. Now if I escape out of that and I hit node, N for node, you can see I've got a bunch of blue nodes here. And those blue nodes are your curved lines, and you can control the curves starting at the node by pulling on the flags just like that. That's going to take a little practice on your part, but now you know the different kinds of lines. Let's delete those. and get into this spear. So what I'm going to be using is a curved line on this spear. What I'm going to do is draw the spear head, and then we'll move the spearhead. So I grab, draw curve line, and I start at the point of the spear, not quite at the point, about the middle of it. And I'm just going to go along the edge of the spear. I'm going to turn my snaps off right up here so I can freehand this. When the snaps are on, it wants to snap to the various different places. And I'm just going to go along where that point of the spear would go to, which is about to here. Now we're going to round it out. So we're clicking a bunch of small points. And I've made the corner, and I just made a mistake here because I didn't press my button. So what we're going to do is just come back up here. Here's a little lesson for you. And we're just going to resume instead of starting over. Because it can be really frustrating when you start drawing a line, especially if you're drawing lines for a long time and you start over. So I'm going to come right up to the edge of that, and I'm just going to, what I'm doing is I'm clicking my way around. That way it draws small arcs. Now I've come all the way around. Now I'm going to come all the way down, and I'm going to click again, and I'm going to start to work my way back into that last point. Now it's not perfect, but that's okay. All right, there we go. And now we hit tab. Tab will close that vector. There you go. So let's fix this little area here. So you're going to learn something else. I'm going to go up to layers, and we're going to go up to this bitmap layer. This was created when you imported this image. And you turn off the little light bulb. Just click the light bulb and it'll turn off. And that turns off the bitmap. We're going to click over this arrowhead, and we're going to hit N for node. And basically, we're just going to hover over that node and hit D, and that deletes that node. Now these other areas, we're going to grab the little flags and just straighten them out along the line that we want this arrowhead to be in. Now you can see overall the arrowhead is not perfect, and we are going to allow that to stay that way because this sculpture is not perfect, right? We want imperfection. This is more realism. We will take some of this out though. So what we're going to do is just drag these nodes up here a little bit to this line, pull them back. Again, I'm not paying attention to the other one. I'm just letting it flow the way this imperfect thing should go. And there we go. So there's our arrowhead. And now I'm going to hit escape to get out of node mode. We are going to turn the image back on by clicking layer and hitting a little light bulb under the bitmap layer. There it is. And now I'm going to just click that until it turns pink. Oops, missed it. There we go. And we're going to use our cursor keys to drag it back to where we want it to go. So I want it off her neck, off her hair, and that's about a pretty good spot right there. I'm going to move back just a little bit more. All right, so there's that part of the spear. Now we're going to draw two lines. So we're going to grab polyline right here, click it, and we're going to just come back into the spear somewhere on where the upper part of the shaft will be. I'm crossing over the line. I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to just draw that line straight back to where I want that spear to go, which is going to be all the way over to there. This spear is going to taper out a little bit just as it is in the image. We're going to come down about like that, and we are going to just come right back up, just like the taper in the spear, and come to about here. I'm going to hit escape, and you can see we've crossed over. So select that again. There we go. And I'm going to turn the bitmap back off. So you'll be doing a lot of bitmap on and off when you're doing this kind of stuff. And we can see it's not perfect. I want to move it up a little bit because that's what I want to do. So I click it twice. I use my cursor buttons just to bump it up a tad. And now I'm going to go to my scissors. And I'm going to cut, cut, and cut, and cut. So there's our spear. I like it. The one thing we're going to do though is we're going to round this corner out. I'm going to grab the arc right here, and I'm going to turn my snaps back on. And the reason I'm turning my snaps on is because I want this to pick up on the line. I'm just going to click somewhere there and drag that arc back. I'm going to do the same thing over here and here and drag that arc back. So that's what we're going to do to round that out. We're going to close it, grab your scissors and come in and snip that. And we are good. So let's connect all this. This is one thing you have to pay a lot of attention to as you're going along. Is connecting all these vectors. So we're going to click that spear and we're going to right click and check join vectors, and that is not highlighted. So this is all one vector. We are good to continue on. Well, you've been at this for 20 minutes now, learning a lot of new stuff. Just so you know, your 20 minutes has been my 4 hours as I've been working this up, and I record something and then I just didn't have the stuff that I needed in it, so I had to start over again. So I just want to make this as easy as possible for you. Remember, this vector file is going to be available to you. Now here's the funny part about this. Running this on your machine is super fast. It's actually doing the artwork that's the real challenge. And that's what's going to take you a step above other people. As you learn this kind of fine detail and the way to think about it, that's what makes you the creator that other people that do this kind of stuff, a lot of people don't get to, which will ultimately make you in demand. All right, let's just keep on plugging along. There's nothing that makes me happier than teaching you, even in times like this when I'm feeling like I'm in a funk. At least I have this purpose of helping you get to places that you want to be and become an expert at this CNC stuff. All right, let's get back into it. Now that the spear is done, we need to make our next selection. And what we're going to work on now is the outer circle. We are starting the arc at the top of her head, and it's going around the back side. All the containment of this warrior is the jungle, and that's in the back side. The front needs to be open. The expression of the warrior needs to be, it's going somewhere. So there's going to be no circle on this side to hold it back. And of course, we're going to make a platform, the ground that the warrior dog and the warrior woman are running on. So I'll show you how to set that up now. I don't want the circle to be as strong as it is in this sculpture here. So our circle in our creation that we are doing is going to be about half of that. So the first thing we have to do is create the outer boundary. So what we want to do is select the circle. Find the spot where you think is going to be the center. We'll pick her belly button. Left click and hold and come out to the outer boundary of the circle and just see where it's falling in on the other side while we're doing it. And it looks like it's a little bit big, so I'm going to shrink in a little bit and then let go. So on the right side, it's hanging over. On the left side, it is hanging under. And what we can do now is just use our cursor buttons to move it. We have to be out of circle mode to do that. So close that. And what I've taught you before is in order to move things around, you have to have it selected with the pick boxes, meaning like this. You see the pick box that shows up right here? Now I'm going to select off of that and then reselect the circle. So the circle's highlighted, but the pick boxes aren't there. You can move it around with your cursor keys, just like that. Now, one of the things I want to pay attention to is where is the outer boundary coming across her foot? I want a little bit more of her foot hanging out of the circle than what is right now with the sculpture. Now, let's see if the circle's good. So it's right there, right at the edge of the boundary there. On top, it's right at the edge of the boundary there. It goes on the inside a little bit right here. And that's because this isn't a true circle for the sculpture. It's on the edge of the boundary there. We're going to rock this out. We'll just take it. So let's take a look. Turn the bitmap off. There's our circle. So how far offset do we need to create the inner part of this boundary? Now, like I said, I don't want this to be the full thickness of what's in the sculpture. So let's see what that is. What you want to do is grab your measure tool here. And my snaps are turned off. I'm just leaving them off. With the measure tool, you just find a general point and we are just selecting some point over that circle, hitting your left mouse key, and we're going to drag to the inside of that circle. So it says it's about 6.9 inches, almost 0.69 inches. We're going to offset by ½ an inch and see what it looks like. So you select the circle, go to your offset button. You are learning so many buttons in this video, it's not funny. Okay, I hit offset. I want to offset to the inside, and I want this to be a ½ inch. So I'm going to say 0.5, offset, and close. And we are going to turn our bitmap off, so you see, and that's going to be good. Turn the bitmap back on. Whew, we are doing a lot of stuff here. The circle is going to end about right here where this plant comes out. So I am simply going to do this for right now, because we will refine this later. I picked a polyline right here, select it, and I'm just drawing a line straight across. And hit space, and that terminates that line, and I'm going to start it again, and we are going to start another line over here. So what we're going to do down here is we're going to draw a platform that these guys are running on. You see she's running, the dog is running, so we're just going to pick a line over here. We want it to be at the bottom of our foot, so generally going across, and I'm going to select right there. Now this time I'm going to turn my snap on both of them because I want it to be parallel. And we're just going to shoot across just like that. And then we're just going to come down. I'm just picking some general spot. Come down. Let's just, there's no accuracy here. So I'm just coming down. It looks like maybe 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just simply going right back across. So if I turn the bitmap back off, that's what we're dealing with now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut out this circle all the way around, and we are creating our outer boundary frame for this project. So I hit the cut feature right there, the scissors, and I'm going to hold my left mouse button and just drag across it. And look at that. We'll go ahead and do the same thing right here. We're going to snip, snip. We'll round these out later. This is a lot of stuff that we are taking care of here. Snip that, snip that, snip that, and snip that, and look at that. So now we have this half moon kind of looking thing, and let's just fix both of these parts out right here where we're going to get rid of these sharp corners. So you select that, but you don't even have to select it. Right here is a radius tool. Okay, we are going to put a radius into it, so select that, and based on the size of this whole project, let's go with a 1-inch radius. So in the top, we're just going to type in a 1, and it's going to be a normal fillet, the very first selection right here. And just hover over the corner and hit that. And hover over the corner and click it. And now we have a smoother transition. We can even do that with these guys here. So let's click that. And I'm clicking on it. The reason it's not working is because the radius is too big. If I took that radius to a 0.5, so I just change the radius up here, and I click it, we should be good. There and there. All right, Control Z, still too big of a radius. So let's do a 0.4. And I'm going to do that again. There and there. That's good. Up here, we're not going to do anything with that yet. We got a lot of work to do. Okay, let's work on some other cool features on this amazing project that you're learning so much on. Turn the bitmap back on. We are going to start to work on our warrior. So let's do this. We are going to profile her head, her arm, her chest. We're going to give a little breast profile there. And we're going to come down into the dog. So I'm going to try to speed this up just a little bit because I know this is taking a long time. But this is what it's about when you're doing artwork. So when we're doing this, we are basically going to follow along the entire profile with polylines. Not polylines, I'm sorry, with curves. So let's just go ahead and select this button right here, curves. So let's start at this part of the arm. And we're going to just pick a point, Oh, we have to turn our snaps off because we want that not in our way. And we have an arc in the arm here, so just going to swing around that arc, and that's where her bicep and her shoulder muscle pick up. And so we're going to just do a small little point there and just start coming on up. We want to get a little bit of that shoulder muscle curve in there. And now our arcs are going to start to shorten up a little bit. Now I got to start picking smaller points. So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit as I make my way around up to the hair. Nope, I'm going to stop right here because we want to get a little bit of the lip in here. We want a little bit more of what's there, so we're just going to come out a little bit. We're coming in even closer. And we're going to try to give her a little bit of an open mouth. Now, when you go to cut this on your router, depending on the bit that you use, it may not show up, but just that little cut will give it a bit of work. Now, I accidentally made a mistake there again, but that's okay. I'm going to fix that. So I'm just going to snap back here and come back up through here, and we'll fix that twisty lip. Okay, let's speed up around the head. Whew, I just wanted to stop and say hi to you. Hope you're getting something out of this. If you are, give me a thumbs up. If not, give a thumbs down, and a comment would always be appreciated. You're in 30 minutes, I'm in about 5.5 hours. But you know what? Spending this time with you is lifting my spirits. So that's a really good thing. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, let's just keep on going. Okay, we've come to the point of her hair and the leaf in the way. So we are going to completely ignore that leaf, and we're going to kind of ignore the profile of the hair. But we are going to start adding a waviness to it. So I'm coming up and I'm going back down, and I'm just swinging along. And we're giving her longer hair. So now we're just going to button around. So I'm snapping a few times. And we're coming back in, and we are giving her more wavy hair. And how far out do we want to go? Not very far. So we'll just go about right here, and we're just going to make a couple of snaps and swing back around again. I'm saying snaps, I mean clicks. And you know, this may look a little funny at first, but you'll see how this will turn out. So as I go down, I want to give the hair more body because there's just going to be more hair at the bottom flowing around. And we're going in a bit, and a couple quick clicks to make that turn again. And the further I go out, the more I swing. We'll see how this looks when we're done. I think this is gonna look okay. I mean, it looks a little interesting, but you know, we'll come back a little bit right here and swing back in. And her hair is going to come back down to her neck. And right in here, we're going to start swinging around her neck. Now remember, the spear isn't there, so we're just going to drive right on through it and come right on down. And we're going to continue on around, so I'm going to speed up again. So now we've come to another plant, and this leaf I'm going to leave touching her arm. So what we're going to do with this one is we are going to just come in, but we're going to make more of a corner there to make it look more realistic, just like that. And we're going to just swing right up into the spear. Now you see right here, we got metal, a little wide there. I don't want that. I'm going to come in and just give it a very gentle arc into the spear. Now, when I come to touch that spear, I want my snaps turned on. So I'm just going to turn that on, and click it, and there we go. Now we're going to escape. I'm going to turn my snaps back off, and I want to show you what we've done with the hair so far and the profile of her face. So you see the hair is a little flowing. Now I think this area is a little bit too much. So it's easy to fix. Basically what you'll do is we're going to escape. We're going to select that. We're going to go to Node, hit the N, and we're just going to highlight. We're going to click the left mouse button, hold it down, and select these guys, just a bunch of them, and hit D. And then we're going to take this one over here. We're going to swing it around like that, straighten that out, and we're going to hit S while we hover over it. And we're going to hit S while we hover over that one. And I think it's still a little too much. So we're going to come back in and do it again. D, and then S, and S, and this one we're going to make it a little bit sharper, like that. Let's see what it looks like here. We need to move this node up a little bit. Something like that. And let's insert one right here. So hover over it and hit I. And now we've created another one. And we'll come up like that. And we'll escape. And I think we're getting there. So it still looks a little goofy. I'm going to fix it up a little later. I want to move on. We're going to fix that real quick. Select the line, hit Node. We're going to delete that one by just hovering and hit D. D. And we're going to keep that one for the moment. We're going to drag it over. We want to round out her lips a little bit more. We're going to put it like that. And let's bring it out just a little bit. And we're going to grab that flag. We're going to delete this one. These are the minor details we want to work on. Hit escape. And from a distance, now we have a little something. I will work on that a little bit more. I want to continue on with this so you see exactly what we're doing. We are going to fix her hand now. So let's take care of that. I'm going to go back into Draw Curve. And briefly, I'm going to turn the snaps back on so I can pick up the end point of that line, click it, turn the snaps off, and we're going to continue on. Now, you've got a feature in her arm right here. This is her bicep, and it drops down a little bit, so we want to drop it down. Now, you see she's a little muscular, but we want to try to retain some of that muscular feature in here. So we're going to come down, get a little dip in the arm, and then start to swing back up. And then we'll start falling back on the curve. Over here, I've gone down on the wrist and I'm coming back up on the hand. Now, here's where it gets kind of important. So I mean, you get up close and it doesn't look like much of a hand. So I'm clicking several times, and this is where we're going to give it a little more realism. We want the hand to have more of a hand feature, so make that stand out a little bit better. That's what we're going to achieve. I am starting to turn inward and click, and I'm just creating a little cup there. And I'm going to swing back around, come on back down, and now we're going to create the thumb, and it's going to come back in like that, and then we're going to get a little narrow up on the back side of the wrist area, and then come back out to make it a little heavy in her arm again. She's muscular arm. She's a warrior, just like every woman I know. And we're going to come back down because she's got the tricep that's got some energy in it too. All right, here's the next part I want you to pay attention to is the breast feature. So I'm just trying to pick this point here. Okay, her breast is going to be a little high. It's going to follow along the curve of that breast. We're just going to bring it out a bit. And so we're just going to start to turn outward. It's not going to be an intense feature. And I'm just curving back in. And I move on. And this is what we're looking at so far. So you can see we're definitely getting something going on here. There's still a lot to do, but I'm tired. I've been doing this for quite a long time, and My machine has not been running a whole lot. I spend a lot of time doing this stuff, teaching you. I'm going to take a break for the night. For you, it's just going to be a flash. I'll talk to you in a minute. Oh, I couldn't sleep, so we're coming back to this. So let's take a look, see what the next thing we need to work on, main details, so I can finish this out. So let's work on a leaf. This is the good stuff. What we're going to do is we are going to disconnect this leaf from her leg, possibly that one. No, we'll leave that one there. We will disconnect this leaf from her leg, and this leaf from her leg, and that one from her arm, and maybe even that one from her arm. But I want to show you overall how we're going to handle these leaves so it's much easier to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to profile one leaf. So we're going to come over and grab a curve, draw curves. Click that, and we're just going to come in from the middle of the plant and just come on up, and we're going to be a little thin because we want to make a little bit more of a shaft on the leaf as opposed to the leaf just blending right into it. Now I'm just going to kind of curve up, and I'm going to shorten up this leaf a little bit too. So we're going to come up, and we're coming up to here to a point almost. Now I'm just making a couple little clicks just to make that arc around there, and then we're coming back around following the leaf profile. And then we're going to turn back in a little bit and curve it back out. Okay, hit escape, and I'm going to turn the bitmap off, and there's our leaf. Now we're going to just doctor this up real quick. So we're going to click the leaf node, we're going to drag this one out. I want it to look a little more natural. And we can take this one up a little bit too. So this is what we are going to play with. Bring that in. And I want this to come in a little bit more. And the reason I'm fixing this up now is because this is going to be our main leaf, right? We're gonna use this leaf all throughout the things, and then we'll just do little tweaks to it. So that's our leaf. We are going to copy that. We're actually going to move it over to here. So I collected it, dragged it over, and then I'm going to Control, Shift, grab the middle, and bring it up or over, either one. Now, take your polyline, this right here, click it, draw a line roughly right there going down. Escape, and we're going to click the leaf and then shift and click the line. We're going to mirror this leaf using this button right here. Click that, and we are going to, we'll create a mirrored copy, and we're going to flip about a line. Now what that's doing is we pick the leaf first and then the line second. Vcarve knows that that line is the pivot point. Select this button, hit it, and now we have two leaves. And the reason we did this is so we can work with rights and lefts. Now this is not much of a right and left in this case. We can turn the leaves around. Then we can grab the little blue button, turn them around the way we want to. Now we're going to make more copies of this. So click that again, Control, Shift, and hold, and just move, let it go. Grab the button again, move, let it go. Because we're going to need a number of leaves. We'll do this one now. Click it, Control Shift, drag it around, Control Shift, drag it around, Control Shift, drag it around. So if you take a look at the image, there's leaves all over the place. So now we're just going to start positioning these leaves over top of everything. So I'm going to grab the original leaf, take it, and move it right over there, but so it's not crossing over her arm. I'm going to take another leaf, and I'm going to drag it over to here again for the other side. I'm going to grab the blue button and swing it. Now you see that's touching her leg, and I don't want to do that. So we're probably going to shrink this leaf down a little bit. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to do. So on these little buttons out here, just grab the one of the inner buttons and shrink it down just a little bit, and then you can nudge it around just a tad. We do not want this in her leg. We're going to take the next one. Let's grab that one. So you see what I'm doing. I'm putting all the leaves in position generally where I want them. And I'm sizing them as I want to size them as we go along. So do that. So I'm going to speed up as I'm doing this. We have our leaves drawn now. You can see they're all just kind of spread around. They don't make a whole lot of rhyme or reason right now. Now we've got a little funny spot right here because we drew a leaf in there already. And we're going to remove the one that we drew in, and we're going to put this one in its place. So I'm going to click that, rotate it a little bit, get that leaf shaft into it, and then I'm going to move it up just a little bit like that. And then we are going to eliminate the other part of the leaf. So I'm going to turn that off. So we're going to eliminate this part. So we have to continue on the arm and just go right on around. So here's what we're going to do. As far as the arm goes, we are going to move, there we go. We're just going to draw a line onward through here up to the hand, and we'll just do it right now because I'm talking about it. So we're just going to go like this. Take that, and we're going to turn our snaps on to snap onto the line, and we're going to just grab right near the curve, and then we are going to shut that off, and we're going to come on down right on around, and we're just going to come into that arc, turn on her elbow. We want to keep that muscular structure there, so we got to stay with the curve. And we're going to come up here to where the hand is. Going to start to turn inward, and this is going to blend right into the spear. We're going to turn our snaps back on to touch the spear and let it lock in. Hit tab, space, escape, I'm sorry. And then we're going to turn all this stuff off. And now we're going to start trimming away. So you hit the scissors, trim that, trim that, trim that, trim that. Up, Control Z, trim that, and that. There we go. We got another couple spots right here that we have to trim out. And I think we've got that. And so we are looking good. Now you start to see some form taking place. Now this leaf is not turned right. Let's turn things back on, close that, go up here, look at that, and maybe we don't even need this leaf here. I was thinking I might put that leaf on the stem like that, but I don't think we need it, so we're going to delete it. And we're going to take this leaf, and what we're going to do is we're going to let this leaf blend into the shaft as it is. We'll keep some of the natural bit of this thing in place of this sculpture. So you can see it's turned like that. I'm going to turn a little bit more. And now it's into the shaft of the spear. And as far as I'm going to scoot it over. Watch this. I'm going to take an arc. I'm just going to pick a point right here. And I'm going to pick a point right down here. I'm going to arc that plant shaft out. Try to go with the flow. Escape from that. And then we're going to take the leaf. We're going to go into node mode. And we're going to swing this around to the inside. We're just going to move things like that. Like that. Swing it. Swing it. Swing it. Swing it. And then snip. cut. Now we have to get out of node mode. Cut, 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 cut. We have to turn things back off. This is where things are starting to take shape now. We're going to cut that, and we're going to cut that. To see how now this plant is starting to flow. Let's just continue on with the plant. I'm going to turn my snaps back on. I'm going to pick up this endpoint, and we're just going to come down to this endpoint, and we're going to create that arc. That's the thing I selected, and we're going to exit that, and we can actually grab another arc. I don't necessarily want to always grab arcs because arcs aren't natural shapes. Now let's bring that one down to here. We'll come in like that. And let's see how she looks after we clean this up a little bit. Get my scissors, cut that, cut that, cut that, cut that, cut that and that. Okay, we are starting to see some form. I'm going to continue to draw fast, and you get to watch the rest of this and see that. Then we'll start to work on some of the really fine details. Well, I got to tell you, if you have stuck around this long, you're serious about this stuff, learning how to do this. This is tedious, you know? So, you know, if you hear this long, type in Garrett. I hung around for that whole hour. I mean, it's 50 minutes now, so well, I'm going to speed everything up and run through the rest of this. Just watch. I think you got a good general idea of everything we're doing. This whole next section should take maybe a minute for you. It's going to take about an hour and a half for me, and then I'll wrap it up for you. Okay, and that's it. So I'm not going to fix anything else up on this right now. I want to end this video for you, but you can see we've got the whole profile now. I mean, I could doctor up this hair. Screw it. We'll spend all this time on it. Let's do it. I'm going to just delete a couple of nodes in here. Delete, and then I'm going to smooth them out. And I'm happy with that. If you take that away, we've got her lips, we've got her hand, we've got the dog, the chin may be a little jutted, we've got her feet, the plants, and her foot. Her toe looks a little bit heavy. I'm not going to worry about that right now. The spear, everything's in place. Let's go to 3D. This has been quite a bit of work. And what we're going to do is just going to do a profile. So we're going to select that. We're going to select everything. We're going to pick outside. We're going to say Z equals. And we're going to run it with the 1/8 inch tool. Calculate. There it is. Run all toolpaths. Click it. Click it. Click it. Let's change our material. Let's go to, I don't care, just something that looks a little different. That's kind of cool. So what you do is you just click any of those open spaces or the dead material, and it all goes. Yeah, I like this material. I'll have to figure it out. I'd want to run you through some toolpaths, but I'm not going to. And that is all she wrote. This is actually pretty good. There's some features we wanted to fix up. The hair is okay. I'd probably want to fix that up just a little bit, but that'll work. I would want to fatten up her thigh right in the back here. You see we got a little goofy spot on the foot. So now you go around and you doctor up all the nodes, which we're not going to do, but I'm just going to point them out to you. So we go to nodes, everything's selected, and we can you know how to fix it. I've taught you everything. This is probably one of the projects that shows you everything you need to know. Okay, I told you that you can get this file if you want to. I sell it on my Etsy store. This is one file I do not give away, and I don't discount on because half of the file charge goes to St. Jude. So 50% of your purchase is being donated to a hospital that never charges its patients, and save my niece, and maybe someday will save somebody that you know. So I would certainly appreciate if you would go and purchase that file so we together can help somebody. I'd love a comment as well. So make a comment down below, give me a thumbs up, and I am done. Tired. You've been here for an hour. I have been here for 10 hours doing this video. Do you believe that this stuff takes this long to do? Just shooting, reshooting, making sure I'm telling you the right stuff. Anyway, this is Garrett. It is time for bed. I will talk to you next time. Go get that file and make it. It's easy to make. Great project for a beginner. See you later.